Hi everyone. I'm tuning in and I don't even really know what I'm going to talk about yet. But what I am kind of feeling is I made this Facebook post and tweeted it that, what did it say? Oh, you know what's better than being wanted? Question mark. Being earned. Fingernail painting emoji. And when I posted it, I like looked up the definition of earned, and the only things that I saw in reference to it were like economic and having to do with like labor and like exchanges for labor. But it still felt really true for me, and so I posted it. And after posting it, I got some responses. I was kind of expecting dudes to react in a certain way. And I was kind of mischievous in posting it because in my head I was like, ooh, I might, like create some steamy conversations with men about this. Or masculine people, maybe. Or people that are attracted to me, who's to say. But anyway, I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit. And then I was actually met with some really genuine and sweet curiosity because my friends list is awesome. And that curiosity really led me to understand something about relationships that is becoming more true for me as I kind of drop into how I want to be in relationships. And so I put a little bit of this in the comments, and I kind of wanted to talk about it at length because what I'm noticing is as I move into doing more work around sexuality and relationships, I'm starting to have a lot of people reach out to me or send me things that feel kind of vulnerable for them, but that give me a huge insight into what they're going through. And I'm able to make a few assumptions and get kind of into their experience as much as anyone can in kind of an online back and forth. And I learn a lot about how they feel. And so in these conversations, I really don't take it lightly. I don't find them to be arguments, but generally the kind of vibe that I've been getting around this for myself is that I'm feminine and I want to receive. And sometimes masculine people see that and they become a little re-stimulated or like a little maybe like lowercase t triggered because when they see me expressing myself in that way or asserting that, it brings up something in them that is either, and these are just from scenarios that I've been hearing, and I'm just kind of like talking about these scenarios and what they brought up for me. Definitely not a call out, just kind of like an unpacking. They see that and it brings up a story in their life that they have about the feminine and the receiving. And sometimes a masculine person sees that and they say, oh, I want to receive. Why can't I receive? And they kind of like go into this space of like, oh, I want that. Why can't I have that? I'm lacking that in my life. And so I really want to speak to that feeling first. When I see that, what I see is someone who could really be served by integrating their feminine self. And I also see someone who is afraid, maybe, or discouraged about doing that at all because we don't celebrate femininity in our culture. And so if someone is raised as a masculine person and they don't ever get any permission to express themselves in any feminine way, particularly in the area of receiving, which is something that has kind of a yin feminine energy, but it also brings up feelings about caretaking and being taken care of. It can have a lot of links to early childhood shit. Long story short. It can bring up a lot of early childhood stuff, especially for those of us that grew up with a mother. So that's a lot. That's a lot already. the point being, if you want to receive and you're a masculine person, you're going to have to release a little bit of rigidity around what you think it means to be masculine, which is great. Do it. It's going to be painful too. Like, wah, it sucks to be masculine. Masculinity is in its detriment right now. Like, bleh, Mars is in retrograde. Like, sucks to be a dude or whatever. So those feelings can kind of come up. And that's part of it. That's part of integrating the feminine, is acknowledging how you feel about the masculine. I think about this on a large scale too. The relationship that is happening like in this era where the feminine is kind of rising, the Isis rising, like all of this beautiful growth and femininity. And then on the masculine side, which is the side that's been kind of taking advantage of and, you know, just being toxified. It's a rhythm. It happens to both sides. This is just the time where it's happening in this way. And there's this narrative of like, oh, like women are going to take over. The future is female, like pussy hats. All of it's really gendered. And it can make a masculine person feel really threatened. And that's fine. It's okay to feel threatened. It's okay to be threatening. I don't intend any harm. But the good news is some other things that are included in the feminine archetype are things like deep intuitive healing. So if you think that the healthy feminine is going to come for you, it's not coming at you with a sword. That's masculine shit. That's some trauma from what we've been going through. This healthy feminine, I mean, there's a chance that it could be toxified like way later in another age. And like probably. I'm not an astrologer, but I bet an astrologer could find when. But at this point, it's a healthy rising of the feminine, asserting feminine power, relearning feminine leadership, and that is healing, boo. Like that wants to take care of the masculine, and it wants to heal the Chiron. It wants to be there for the wounded warrior. It wants to be the mother. It wants to be, you know, all of those beautiful feminine things. But it's going to be really difficult to do that if we don't work as a collective on our perception of gender. Because if we continue to believe that there are two genders, if we continue to believe that femininity belongs to women and masculinity belongs to men, we're not going to have a good time. So as a masculine person watching this, something that you can take from it is that there is a piece of this that is going to be shadow work probably for you. No matter what your relationship is with the feminine, because femininity is not exalted and it's like, I mean, it's the trauma work. We all have to do it. I'm doing my trauma work about masculinity. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't belong to any of us. It's not assigned to us. You know, it's part of it. If you're spiritual like me and you believe that woo-woo shit, which I do. So that's the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about, in reference to seeing like the idea of receiving. And then how masculinity can sometimes see femininity expressing its desire to receive, and then masculinity can feel, hurt by that and have feelings about that, which is 100% valid. Like, duh, that's why I'm here. I'm a mirror. I'm here to do that for you. You're welcome. And you're here to do that for me, and I'm so blessed by that, and I thank you. And then the next thing I want to talk about is, the concept of want. And that's a big thing to unpack. I think that one of the things that creates a little bit of an obstacle to unpacking it effectively or sweetly or with compassion is the fact that we live in a capitalist society. Like when I tried to Google definitions for earn, and all I found was shit about labor. And what labor entitles us to, which is money. Which I wish that wasn't our relationship with labor. And I wish that we didn't have this relationship that we have with money. But I'm just here for this lifetime, so that's not my job. Anyway, the point being, what it kind of led me to was in exploring the curiosities that were handed to me lovingly by people in the comments, one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of people aren't really present for the energy exchange that occurs when they like someone. So think about flirting. Think about when you're attracted to someone and you see them and you want to act on it. Think about when you develop a crush and the attitudes and ideas that come with that. So those are all kind of like, let's think about like the starting point of, an exchange or a relationship. This is something that is easier to talk about if you understand what a relationship escalation is, which you might be able to use context clues. A relationship escalation is like when a relationship goes from one place to another, like maybe higher up place or different place, it escalates. So like we're dating and then we sleep together. Sleeping together might be a relationship escalation for us. That's kind of like the gist. So if you're in a situation where you see someone online and you're just seeing their profile on like a dating app, that relationship with that person is like neutral. Y'all are both looking, but it's neutral. You don't know this person. You can like read a bio. You can see their pictures. And then what starts to happen in you is you're making a decision when you see this profile. And it's creating energy. That energy might be like arousal. It might be like love and care. It might be curiosity. It could be a lot of things. And this makes me actually want to teach y'all how to flirt consciously, but I'm just going to keep it simple right now. But when you have that energy in you, it is now your responsibility to decide what to do with that energy. And if what you decide to do with that energy is send a 2-word message that says, "Hey, beautiful," or like, "Hey, comma, beautiful," or maybe like something a little more creative, like, "What's up, sweetie?" I would invite you to ask yourself if the energy that you feel is being reflected in your action that you take around that energy. First of all. Second of all, initiating energy exchange is a responsibility that begets a responsibility because you just opened a little portal. That's what a relationship is a portal. And so by initiating a relationship, by escalating the relationship from neutral to we are now texting, you have opened a little small portal. And they, as someone who did not see a profile and feel any kind of energy or act on it, doesn't have any obligation to your expression of that energy. And in reading that, they may not get any energy. And so from that space to produce something from that energy, like let's say a long thought out rejection message or unmatching you or finding a way to respond just to see what happens. All of those things require energy, and if that person isn't receiving any energy from this interaction, then whatever action they take is going to reflect that as well. So when you want someone, like if you feel like, oof, I really want that person, the energy that you have is lack in the spirit world or in like the magical realm. This is all woo-woo. This isn't psychology. So if you're about to like come for me, like don't. This is if you're on some kind of journey. If this doesn't resonate with you, then you're on a different path. But if this is sounding like, oh yeah, like I think I kind of do feel an energy and I think I kind of do feel an obligation to act on that energy or responsibility, not obligation. Then this might be for you. Who's to say? We'll get to the end and then you'll see how you feel because you might still get pissed. Who's to say? But when we're writing affirmations for spells, we don't want to use the words I want or I need because once you put that in a spell, you take the energy with it. So if you need it and you want it and you put it in that spell, you are now destinying yourself to need or want it until that spell is over or until the end of time. So if I say I want a relationship and I carve that into a candle and I light it, now I want a relationship. That doesn't mean I have one. So instead of using words like want, we use I have or I believe or I see or things like that that are more aligned and more present. And don't create these vortexes, which is what want does, is it creates a vortex of lack. And I'm a pretty intuitive person. I can feel when someone is just lacking. And I know the difference between someone being attracted to me and someone lacking. It's different. And I think a lot of people can. I think if you kind of like took a moment and maybe thought about some of the interactions that you've had in your life, not even just romantic, but like professional, friendships, family, sometimes there might be a feeling that they are trying to express a desire or a need, and all you feel is a desperation and a lack coming from them. Which, not that there's anything wrong with that. The closer the relationship is and the more intimate you are with the person, the easier it is to work out stuff like that and to come to an understanding about how to make it a little easier. But most of it is healing your shit on your own so that when you come at a bitch on Tinder, you're not coming at them with all of this lack, and you're not coming at them with, I want a relationship and I want to talk to you and I need to get a date. Like, I need to get laid. Those energies are not really conducive to a positive energy exchange. And the person on the other side of the screen probably doesn't fucking know that either, right? Everyone's bumbling through. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but it is, because Bumble is a dating app. But we're all just kind of doing the best of what we have. I don't look at my phone and see a hey beautiful message in my dating app and think to myself, oh, this person is projecting lack on me. When I open my phone and I see that, I'm like, oh, this person didn't really read my profile and thinks I'm beautiful. Like, cool. And I don't respond, no matter how interesting their profile is, because I'm in my feminine. And I'm not initiating a lot of energy exchanges when I am in my feminine. And one of the burdens that brings me is the burden of rejection, because rejection in our culture is also toxified, when it would be much sweeter if it were easier. But really right now it's just not, and that's okay. And if that's the price I have to pay to be in my feminine, is that I have to deal with, people receiving rejection poorly, there are worse ways. We're all struggling. No, it just sounds like I'm complaining about how hot I am. But the point being, we can feel the difference. Hopefully you can start to feel the difference when you're even experiencing attraction to a person. If you can drop into your body and think to yourself, like, how much do I really know about this person? Like, what about them do I really appreciate? What's something about this energy that's being created in me that I am grateful to them for, or that I respect them and see them for, right? I mean, it's easy to get kinky and sexual, but I would like really encourage you to learn some boundaries about like what's okay to talk to strangers about and what's okay to put in people's inboxes. But a good example is if you see someone online who, has a really great profile and you feel super sweet about it, and there are things in it that really do genuinely excite you, and they don't bring up, I want a relationship or I need to get laid. Like, if that's what that profile is bringing up for you, I mean, follow your bliss. If you're on that path, like, go ahead and project the want. Go ahead and project the need. Like, create a little vortex, right? Your little, like, dark portal. But if the things that it brings up for you are not the want and the need, but instead, like, oh, I appreciate how this person shows up in this way, or I like the way that this person has, like, a style and a creativity. I'm an Enneagram type 4. You can be hot all day long. And if you're not wearing something sharp in your profile pic, like no energy exchange is occurring. So think about that. Um, So, yeah, to bring it around full circle, that felt good to say. I feel like a lot of release in my body, just kind of like naming some of those things. And I hope it's really resonating with someone, because I know that this shit isn't true for everyone. So if it is resonating with you, like let me know in the comments. I would love to hear how you feel. Especially like I identify a lot of these archetypes as masculine and feminine, and I know that we're going through a shift right now. So there's a lot of like different ways that you could see these energies and experience these energies. So if you have any feedback or experiences about that, I would love to know, really what it is and kind of like what that status was that kind of like gave me this sweet little thing to add to, how I want to be in relationships, is that, I don't feel comfortable being projected on. And I have a lot of internet shit going on, and so it's really hard to avoid. And like having a hard time with something doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. I kind of invite that because I like to do that. But when I am excited about a person and the energy exchange is initiated by them and they are feeding the energy exchange in a way that authentically reflects how they feel, then it feels really good. And so that's kind of what I mean by being earned, is that the energy that's being put into interactions with me is really authentically reflective of the energy that I inspire in them. And I think that's romantic. And that also means that some people get all of that energy inspired in them and they want to, bless me with that energy. Here's the deal. You can keep it if you want. You don't have to give it away to anyone. You don't have to give it back to the person that gave it to you. You can integrate that energy and just appreciate that person and take that appreciation energy, and instead of trying to label it with these desperate lack and want energies, you can just have appreciation and meditate with that and feel that for yourself. Or it's also really nice to, if you do appreciate someone, to let them know and to make it clear that there are no obligations attached to that. So, I feel pretty complete. Yeah, I feel really complete in kind of naming how it feels to have wants projected onto me, and some of the conversations that I've had with people around the masculine and feminine energies being triggering and being painful. So I look forward to, if you are struggling right now with either receiving or initiating energy exchanges, or like having trouble integrating and being balanced in your, in your yin and your yang, like I really look forward to that working out for you. And I think that even you just taking the time to watch this and to take it seriously and to think about it for yourself is a huge gift to yourself. So you can congratulate yourself for just thinking about, how do I want to show up with people that I'm attracted to? How do I want to show up with people that are in their feminine? How do I want to show up with people that are in their masculine? Because those conversations with yourself, that's where the work is done. The work isn't really done when you watch a video of me talking about it. That's kind of like maybe the starting point for you, or like maybe just a pebble that you kick while you're on your path. But really the path itself is being in a constant, or I'd say constant dialogue about what feels good and what kind of connections you want and how to be authentic in how you get them. So be sweet to one another, and I'm sending lots of love. Mwah.